motions. My idea was to make something that would be so versatile, but it didn't start that way. It actually started off to make a simple articulator that would maybe $10, $11, but little did I know, little by little, by the time you add this, you do that, and so on and so forth, that articulator became a lot more expensive. But anyway, at this point, we have it to an area that is absolutely fantastic, and it works great. And I mean, that's the past. The past, I want to just shoot from the past to here. But the articulator itself is so versatile, it works so great that it could be modified in so many ways. We constantly coming up with different ideas and adapters that we could put it to the articulator. I mean, this, again, it's an articulator. It just mounts two models. But our articulator mounts two models, but it does it in such a way that it makes it simple. Okay. And I will be giving you a demonstration how it works. Now, the first, well, it all started with this guy here. I don't, you see this? This is the Galletti. Okay. It's called the Galletti articulator, named after the fellow that invented it. And the reason why it goes after that is because this one ball joint here. And my articulator has the similar ball joint, but it has two, one on the top and one on the bottom. Okay. That allows to have mobility on both ends. This only has a mobility on here, but because it has one ball joint, it has a rod here, which allows the articulator to move up this way, come up that way, and then you could drop it down to the lower. So and that's how it works. So therefore, you need something this big. Okay. And I didn't want that. I didn't want that at all. I wanted something a little more compact. I employ a few females, and they're ceramists that holds an articulator in their hands all day long. Holding this all day long, you've got a problem. You can actually, my ceramist, one of my ceramists had carpal tunnel, and she had to get an operation on both wrists. Now, I don't know if it's exactly that comes from the articulator, but since she's been doing this for 30 years, I think it contributed quite a bit.
Right. I think it is like you got your inspiration from this articulator you're just showing me now.
Yes. The idea came from here. But there's a couple of things here that I would not do. Number one would be the size. Number two would be, I'm going to show you. In order to remove this model, you have to loosen up. It's held by clamps, 3 clamps. Now, if I want to put this articulator back on here, identically, the way it was before, it's completely impossible. I'm not completely impossible, but you're going to have to do an awful lot of work to hold it together and put it back in the same position. My articulator works a little bit different, which I'll go into that. And that's one of the features that I would change. The other feature that I would change would be this rod, because it allows for me to shrink the articulator from this size, to this size. Okay. The reason behind that is you got these 2 little knobs here. You open that up. Instead of going with the rod going forward, I'm going up and down.
Okay.
And that's a big difference. This weighs only 9 ounces. I'm exaggerating about 2 pounds, but it's pretty close to it. So it's very, very heavy. Now, if you have to hold, and if you have to hold this in your hand all day long, it's going to be kind of difficult, and it's going to be painful. And the other thing is, this is limited on use. You could use it for demonstration to a patient on future work that you're going to do. But to make it practical, once you have it put together, it has to stay that way, because if you're going to remove it, it's going to change. It's going to change, and that's not practical. My articulator works a little bit different. Again, we have a little prong here, as you can see. I hope you can see it. What it does is we work disposable plastics. They get glued onto the model. I'll go into that again, but talking about that little prong, what it does when you have it in position and you tighten it, it makes, do you see this?
I can see it.
Yeah, it makes a little dimple into the plastic. That means that you can put it in position and you'll always go back in position 100%.
Okay.
Always. So that's a nice feature for the articulator. Now, our articulator has a millimeter scale. So you could use it as a verticulator.
Okay.
Where you could open it in increments of 1 millimeter or half a millimeter if you're careful enough, and so on. Let's put this thing aside because that's impossible. This is plasterless. So is that. Most articulators works on plaster. You have to use plaster to put it together. In order to put it together, you have to hold the two models and use some kind of sticky wax or something to hold the models together. Then you have to put it in on between the articulator and mix some plaster, and you put it together that way. That is time consuming. You lose not much, but you use water, which is not important. It's cheap. It's inexpensive. Sticky wax, inexpensive. And boiling out that wax, inexpensive. But on here, you save so much time. You don't need none of that. It's all plasterless. Again, it works. It's based on these plastic. It's disposable. You take your models, you put some grooves into it, and you glue it on.
Okay.
The reason for the grooves onto the model is that if you want to take it off, or if it falls off, those grooves are going to be on the underside of that plastic, and it will go back in position perfectly, and you just re-glue it. Now you glue it with something simple. This is called crazy glue. That's what we're going to use. That's what we do. So it's pretty simple. But again, the most important part is about this articulator. It is a time saver. Where it takes to articulate something like this with plaster and so on, let's say 5-10 minutes, this takes 10-15 seconds. It's quick. And also, I'm going to jump from here and there and all over the place, and I hope you forgive me for that. But also, they look pretty good. We have 5 of them in different colors. They come in gold. They're all anodized. This is anodized gold. This is anodized clear.
Okay.
We have an anodized black. And we have a purple and a turquoise, which they look very nice. I mean, they're really pretty good looking. So anyway, to articulate, I'll go right into that. To articulate a case, you glue your disposable plastic onto the model. You slip it on the lower, and you slip up the top one to the top assembly. Now, to articulate this, you loosen up 4 screws. You got one here, you got one on this side, and you have the top assembly and the bottom assembly. So you loosen this up, you go up and down. This bottom one allows assembly to loosen up the ball, and it moves 360 degrees. We'll do the same thing. So now, you got so much mobility that it's very easy to find your position. Find your position. Hold it. There is this assembly. It would be a good idea to bring it down. This is our vertical stop. In this case, it's not necessary because you have a lot of teeth here. We have our stop. But if you have an edentulous case, you're going to want to get used to that. I might as well do that all of the time. Bring it down to that. You don't have to have it 100% exact. You could always make adjustment later on. You got some leeway here. So now you do that, and now you tighten up everything that we loosened up. The top and this side here, and you're done. And this is extremely accurate. Again, you don't need to work on the articulator because of that position, that dimple that is made in the plastic that goes back 100% in the same position all of the time. You can work off the articulator. So if you're doing let's say a denture case, you set up on the articulator, set up all the teeth, and then you want to just press it up the rest of it, off of it, and you can. Absolutely simple. I mean, this is extremely versatile. You have the lateral excursions. You loosen this guy up, this knob up here. Now what happened, what I did is with all of the screws, except this one and this one here, all of the screws are meant not to come out completely. That is from my experience in my lab. Before doing this, all of my technicians would just take it off completely and I end up losing them. So what we did is come to a certain stop, and automatically you can't turn no more unless you really want to force it. If you're going to force it, you can turn it. But then you'll feel the friction when you stop. If you do that, now you can go into your lateral excursion on both sides. For protrusive, it's simple hinge articulators, but it works fantastically, absolutely fantastic. And there is now all of the articulators are the same except a different color. And now some guy's going to wonder, well, about a denture case. Well, when you open this up, you got a lot of room to go up, so you could articulate just about anything. No matter what. I mean, that's the way it was designed. Any questions up to now?
Yeah, I'm getting you. Let me just come in now. I see that you said is within few seconds, the models can be, articulated. And it's like one is going to use disposable plastic to do that easily, and a glue also.
Yes,
it's going to make the entire mounting less messy compared with when you have to use plastic. Your plaster of Paris.
There's just no comparison. There's just no comparison. This is easy, clean, and now, I'm a dental technician. I own a dental lab. And I've been doing this for quite a while. The first obvious, and of course, this articulator didn't start off looking like this. It started off, actually, this is the one that I'm using in my lab right now.
Okay.
It looks the same. The function is absolutely the same, but it's different from this one here. 10 years ago is the first articulator that I put in my lab. The same articulator I'm using today. And we articulate about 20, 30 cases a day. So that those articulators are constantly working. The reason why it stays intact and it doesn't get destroyed is no hammering to get off the plaster. There is, all you got to do is steam any residue of wax that it's on the articulator, and you're good. I mean, this is the same articulator. I don't know if this is 10 years old, but it's old enough, and I use it all the time. So the longevity of the articulator is definitely there. Once you buy this, you could hold on to it for a long, long time. And it's a good looking articulator. Not only that, it's very light. You put this in your hand. It weighs, I think, 9 ounces. So it's comfortable in your hand. The technician would have not such a difficult time to work with because it's comfortable, number one. And the women, which are a little more fragile, they have it in their hands and they could work with this. When you mount something like, well, this is out of the ordinary. This is crazy. I mean, that's a full articulator. But to work on this, I mean, you're going to lose your wrist before you know it. So it's a lot easier to work on this articulator than it is on something that heavy and uncomfortable.
There's no doubt.
So, I mean,
yeah, there's no doubt that the usual problems we face when we use plaster of Paris to mount an articulator, like linear expansion and all those problems that plaster of Paris exhibit when after setting. There's no doubt that we don't encounter such with your articulator. Is that not true?
That's absolutely true. Not only that, is the plaster of Paris. It's not as accurate as this. This, believe it or not, is extremely accurate. But the beautiful part on this is because it's not in plaster, you're never locked in.
Okay.
If you got to make a change, let's use this one. If you got to make a change, because are you familiar with triple trays?
Okay.
Okay, if you're using a triple tray, I would say a strong percentage of them are not accurate. So most of the time you would have to take it apart and remount it again. Mm-hmm. I'll give you a demonstration. Here's one. We'll do a triple tray. Again, the procedure, the process is always the same. You got 4 screws, 1, 2, 3, and 4. You'll always loosen them up, and it's always the same process. So we're going to put this guy. We're going to put this guy in place, tighten this up, take the lower, put this guy in place, and here's the triple tray. We're going to put this. And again, with a triple tray in a regular articulator, you can't do this because as soon as you take it off the model, you lose its accuracy unless you press down hard. But there is no PQX that's going to hold this together. But your hands could. So you loosen this up. Again, you loosen up the fork, allows this to go up. The lower assembly, the top assembly, same thing. Again, you got total mobility. So it's very easy to put it together. Put it together. Again, that spring that I was talking to you before from the triple tray, hold it tight. Again, get used to this part. This is kind of important, making that top assembly either touch or close to that stop. Do that, then tighten everything together. And here we go. And you got it articulated. Can't be any faster. And it's done. And it's extremely accurate. Now, before I go on with this, a lot.
Hello? We seem to have lost connection. Oh, serious. What I do now?